Hello and welcome to another live with me, your host, Reikimarco. Today we're going to be talking about whatever we want to talk about, but probably human design and Reiki and all the things that I love. I got to get my tea ready. And as you guys are popping in here, let me know where you're calling in from. Let me know your type in human design. And if you have any questions at all about your design or anything about human design, just let me know. Put it in the chat, and I'll do my best to give you a solid answer with it. Reflector 3.5, me too. Alexa, Reflector 3.5. Wow. Wow. That's something. The 3.5 isn't a terribly unique profile. It's one of the more common ones, but Reflector and 3.5, yeah. Alexa, if you're not following me, hopefully please follow me, just because there's a lot of people giving advice about human design. And if you're not following someone that actually has the same design as you, though, you're kind of missing out on a lot of insights from your design's perspective. Does the 5 line double reflect? Kind of. Now, so I mean, with the 5th line in a reflector, it's really interesting because, excuse me, what I found is that as a reflector and a 5th line, we get like double the amount of projections, right? Not only are people's energies being reflected through our undefined centers, but also through that 5th line, the bringing of solutions is really what it's about. In the bringing of solutions, there is oftentimes, this like, oh, well, but things work really well how they are. I don't really want to change it up. And so sometimes that 5th line is a heretic. It's met with some resistance because people even if they're not doing something the best way that they could ever do it, they have a way of doing it that they're used to doing it. And so if you take that away from them, or you present them with a solution that maybe they're not ready for mentally, spiritually, physically, you're gonna get a lot of projections. The 5-1 projector and the 3-5 projector probably get the most projections because of that 5th line. And the 5th line, if you have the 5th line anywhere in your profile, projections are something that you're just going to have to normalize, right? And I think anyone in general can learn a lesson from this. Like, learn how to normalize projections. People are going to project on you. That's how we relate to the world. Until I really get to know you, right, I'm going to relate with you based on a place in life. Projections don't have a place in life. They absolutely do, but they get a bad name because of spiritual people wanting things to just be all 5D and not taking accountability for themselves or their impact or any of that stuff. But anyway, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. As a 3-5 reflector, I've literally moved myself furthest away. It's like one of the most isolated places in the world, Hawaii, right? Aside from like being in the jungle, but in terms of distance from everything else, I'm far as hell away from the mainland. And as a fellow 3-5 reflector, one of my curiosities for you is, where do you live, and what kind of like where do you live? Because if you live in a big city, and nothing against cities, I think cities are incredible, but as a reflector, if you're not getting time in nature, sorry, I'm just adjusting my cameras so they're straight. If you're not getting time in nature, you're probably suffering. Guarantee you're probably suffering if you're not getting enough time in nature. It's full with nature. Alexa, good. That's good. Happy to hear that. Alabama. Oh, there's nature. Awesome. Yeah, it's and again, there's nothing wrong with cities. Actually, there's 2 environments in human design that are effectively man-made environments. You have kitchens and you have markets, which are like cities, essentially. And so some people are actually designed to live in cities. And so one of the things that I would look at if you have your report would be check out your report and check out your environment and see what it says about where you're supposed to be, where you're the most optimized is really what it is. Like when you think about environment and determination, it's like if you want your mental to be optimized, you ought to be in these environments, or these environments are specifically going to be the places where your mind is invigorated and engaged the most in the right way. Yeah, I have kitchen, which is confusing because I do like the city, but also nature. I can't choose. Right. Okay. So great kitchens. So this is better than being like a mountain person living, on the first floor of high rise, or a cave person living in, an open panoramic place. Like, kitchens is all about alchemy, right? And kitchens, there's like a lot of like diversity within the environment. And even though natural environments technically aren't kitchens, what you can do is if you go into nature, nature is just like a cure-all, really. But if you go into nature and look at like where are the little microbiomes where you've got like a centipede and an ant and a pill bug and and a bee and all of that, so where there's like a lot of activity going on. But in the city, kitchens are like gyms, country clubs are kitchens, bakeries, restaurants, those kinds of places, anywhere that ingredients are kind of like coming together, and it's about alchemy. It's about like a laboratory. And so if you can find yourself in the city and specifically looking for kitchens, that is going to improve your experience of the city. And then like I recommend getting, at least if you can, depends on how accessible the nature is, but like even just half a day every week it should be enough to keep you from going insane. Oh, that's a lot of tea. All right, whatever, let's just do it. Shoot. Oh, a lab. I was a biochem researcher. This checks out. Yeah. Because it's like kitchens. So kitchens are where people make things, and markets are where people sell things. So if you look at them together, the entire concept of civilization is, and the hardscapes, the kitchens and the markets, those are really like, how you say, evolutions of like natural landscapes, in the sense that we're able to use the natural landscapes. I didn't freeze there, guys. My brain just kind of farted. In the sense that we're able to use the natural world to bring things together to create items. That's kitchens. And specifically, we're creating clean, safe containers. Like you can look at this with they did this with lead. They were trying to figure out like why people were getting poisoned by their paint, and they were trying to get a clean room where there was no interference. This is the development of kitchen. It's the development of laboratory. So you can imagine if someone's trying to create some kind of substance, but it needs to be a very, very pure environment. And so progressively the kitchens become more and more pure and clean. And you look at kitchens nowadays, and what do they have? They have a food cleanliness rating. And if you're below a certain rating, then you're not allowed to operate. It's illegal for you to operate. And this is one of the things about kitchens, that kitchens typically want them to be conducive for what you're doing. It doesn't mean that they always have to be clean. It means that they have to be conducive for what they're doing. Because, like, for instance, you could have a mad scientist in a kitchen, and it's all crazy and chaotic, but he knows where everything is. It's his kitchen, right? Which is different than going into somebody else's kitchen. So these kind of man-made landscapes, markets, and kitchens, they're very unique to individuals, whereas caves, mountains, shores, valleys, all those natural landscapes, those are sort of universal, right? Markets and kitchens can be very, very tied to the individual. Now, I'm a valleys person. I'm not necessarily super I really don't like the city, honestly. It's fun for like a day or two, but anyway, what do you think about us coming into the fifth world? What do you mean by the fifth world? All right, Mariah, thank you for liking the live. I really appreciate you. I've been seeing your name pop up so much. Welcome to everybody that is just joining. I'm Marco. If you've never come across me before, I love human design. I'm obsessed with it, and I'm here to be your best friend in terms of human design and Reiki and all things life oriented. I'm here to be your internet homie. Anytime you need advice, anytime you want on your design, anytime you want to get a perspective on your healing journey, I go live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. This stuff I'm going to be doing for a long time, guys, and so buckle in. Even if TikTok gets banned, I'll find another place to go live. I'm also live on, like I said, YouTube as well. And yeah, that's that. So everybody, hope your day is well. New love and peace and hair grease. Yeah. How's it? The Hopi prophecy, which aligns with other prophecies, such as Dolores Cannon shifting into Aquarius. Okay. So sorry to continue about reflector reading. I don't do readings. Okay. I'm not here to read your human design. I'm here to reflect to you exactly what you are and where you're at and what the next step needs to be. I'm here to be a guide, right? And so when it comes to being a reflector, though, you have to establish the standard. No one else is going to establish it for you. You can't expect someone to create a job role that's going to perfectly encompass your nature as a reflector. You have to figure out what you have a skill for, what you like doing, and then you have to find a way to like monetize it. And what that looks like is different for everybody. But in terms of being a reflector, if you think about any niche at all, any niche, fashion, gaming, and you create hey, I'm the one that comes in, looks at everything, and says, yes, the culture here is great, but the technology here sucks. You're like an auditor. That's your primary gift, because it's only 1% of the world that walks around undefined all the time. That's us, right? Having trouble as a projector in life. Yeah. And it's, are you new to human design, Angel Appleseed? Are you new? I'm asking because a lot of the times, especially if I'm not your introduction to human design, a lot of the times people will hear about being a projector or being this or being that from somebody else, and they'll get a lot of like misinformation. Like one of the misinformation things about projectors, right, is that you have to word invitation. And what it's really not, it's not misinformation, it's just incomplete information. Like you have to wait for an invitation to do things with other people. When it comes to doing something by yourself, like just go do it, and don't have the expectation that you're always going to have energy to continue doing it, right? Because that's part of being a projector, is you have the undefined sacral, and so your sacral energy to do something is not necessarily consistent and reliable. So when it comes to waiting for an invitation, that's only applying to people like people are like, say, let's say friends walking off in a direction, and they're gonna go to a restaurant or something, and they didn't invite you. What you ought to do is say, hey guys, I'm gonna head out of here. And then they'll look back and they'll be like, oh, but like, come. And you say, like, well, if I'm invited, I didn't think I was invited. And they're like, oh yeah, you're invited, come on, cool. That's not typically waiting for an invitation, but that's just like, hey, acknowledging, hey, look, if you guys aren't going to invite me, I'm just going to go. And not being like a bitter sucking eggs kind of person about it, right? You know what I mean? And this also does not apply to leaving toxic situations. Like if you're in a bad relationship or at a party and you're not feeling it, like you don't need to wait for an invitation to leave. And this is something that infuriates me, because people talk about human design and being a projector, like, oh my God, yes, I resonate. But they're just like sitting around doing nothing. They're not doing anything that they want to do for themselves. They're sticking around in places for way too long because they're waiting for an invitation, because someone online told them about waiting for an invitation as a projector. And again, it's so anyway. So yeah, if you're struggling, hopefully Angel Appleseed, does that help with some of the struggle that you're experiencing? A lot of the times projectors, I feel like when they see that wait for an invitation, yes, you're supposed to learn patience. Yes, you'll probably be alone for a little bit. But it's really important to recognize where this waiting for an invitation applies, because it can be crippling if you don't understand that, hey, look, this applies to being with other people, not necessarily just like me doing my own. You want to do your own thing, and you have interest in something, like go check it out. And that's actually where you meet people that will invite you. If you go do things on your own because you want to do it, not because you want to be with this person or that person, etc., but because you want to do it, and you're enjoying it and doing it, you feel successful, like, oh yes, may have been a lot of energy to get out and do this thing, but now that I'm out here doing this, people that can recognize you will recognize you, and they'll say, oh, hey, do you want to come here often? They'll strike up the conversation. So anyway, it helps a lot. So we just got to get our embodiment right and move and trust and flow with the universe. Yes. So there is very much so this sort of like projector detox that kind of happens, where you start to realize like, wow, none of my friends are inviting me to things, or all of the things that my friends are inviting me to, I don't really want to do. It's not like exciting or in alignment for me. And that's important to recognize, because when you recognize that, what you can do is you can start to create a little bit of a different dynamic, right? And be a little bit more alone. One of the things I say, especially with projectors, but with every type, you have to go through the desert. Like every enlightenment story, look at Jesus going into the desert, you look at Moses taking the slaves from Egypt into the desert. Everyone goes through the desert before getting to the promised land. And the desert for most of us is loneliness. You have to move through the desert of loneliness to get to the oasis of aloneness, of, okay, you know what? Even though I miss my friends, I don't miss their drama. Even though I miss my family and my last partner, I don't miss all of the impact and unaccounted for projections and stuff. So anyway, yeah, I've always felt on the outside looking in as a projector, right? Yeah. A lot of projectors feel like that. A lot of human beings feel like that in general, because the main problem that we have is not actually a mental problem, right? There's nothing wrong really with our minds. It's that the place where our mind sits, which is on top of our bodies are not actually they're actually not sensitive enough. Like, we understand what's going on externally really well with your lungs, just like without me giving any instruction, with your inhale. If you can't do that, or you don't know how that feels, it's not your fault. You've never been taught this. You've been taught a bunch of other stuff, which is why you never learned this. I feel constricted. Okay. And so again, a lot of people see constriction, right, as a negative thing. But when in terms of what I'm talking about, constriction is support. Constriction is, instead of your heart like bouncing around in between your lungs are pushed up against it. Instead of expanding outwards, your lungs actually expand inward. Exactly. So I feel constricted but warmth. So this is the approach to human design that I'm going to be teaching you guys starting in the next couple weeks. I'm still working on making everything smooth when you guys get enrolled, that like boom, it's just a clean entry. It's important to me that you guys have a clean entrance into this community, because it's going to be where me and my partner Pasha are going to be teaching this very different approach to human design. So anyway, I'm an empath. You ain't teaching me anything I don't already know. Hey, as a human being, I forget a lot, and so hopefully this reminds you. And if it's not, then cool. No worries. If you want to learn something new, or you want to, if you're looking for, I don't know, what are you looking for? What was the meaning of that comment, Billy? Let's talk about that. We all have things to learn. Yeah. Billy, I'm not trying to like harp on you, but hopefully that was just like a really sarcastic comment. But if you're being serious, that might be one of the things that makes me make judgments about you, in the sense that it's like, what are you trying to prove with that comment? Yeah, the people in the comments are feeling this. Partly it's a sad day when we decide we have nothing left to learn. I feel more aware when I'm alone. Say, I believe once you learn self-worth, you learn how to love others, the ones that deserve your love. That's true. Yeah. Not sure if you're an empath when you shit on people for no reason. All right, guys, chill out. He's not shitting on people. He's just, again, that's why I asked. I was like, what was the point of that comment? What are you, that seemed like hey, I know more about this than you. Which I'm like, cool, that's fine. I actually am wanting people around me that know more about this than I do. And by this, I'm not necessarily talking about human design, but I do have that. I have a person that knows more about me than human design. I have someone that knows more about Reiki than I do. I have someone that knows more about martial arts, more about money. I don't. I have spent, and really, hopefully I can maybe slap you out of something. I spent a long time being the coolest, richest, best, like most empath, most spiritual one in my circle. I spent a long time like loving that feeling. And eventually it led me to stagnation. And I was kind of like you, where I'm like, oh, I'm an empath. I already know about it. Um, yeah, I know a lot about everybody. I'm just a straight shooter. I can't be fake. Brother, you can definitely be fake. You're like a transcendent like narrative right now, which is kind of gross. Like I can totally, and I can be convinced that I'm not being fake. But the Dutch communities is that there's and that someone comes to for advice, but it's like that's not what it's about. It's about the white belt. And I learned this early on in martial arts. Because you know, martial arts, you show up and it's like this guy's got a black belt, he's teaching class, and it's like him. Um, but he would always say the most important belt is what? You know, and he'd ask us, and we'd be like, black belt, blue belt. And he goes, it's the white belt. It's the belt that you get started with. It's the ability to learn, because what happens when a man you know, gets to the point where he feels like he can't learn anything, and he doesn't understand the importance or acknowledge the importance of the white belt, well then there's, yeah, that's it's like stagnation. So anyway, yeah, hopefully what again what I'm wanting to bring to you guys in terms of information about human design and how to put it into practice in your own life. You know, there's going to be people that apply the things that I say and people that don't apply the things that I say. And at the end of the day, it's like, it really doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't, because I'm gonna see people that are, there's gonna be people that are confused, there's gonna be people that have doubts, and then there's gonna be people that like get it and use this information to make their life better and see themselves more clearly and love themselves more fully and navigate more confidently. And that's who I'm speaking to. And if that's you, thank you for liking the live and sharing the live. Because you know, it's kind of like the Matrix. It's like, you know, when you're in the Matrix, there's all these people around you, right? And they will, especially the people that know you, and one of your biggest adversaries in like activating your human design and embodying and manifesting your signature in life, one of the biggest adversaries that you come up against is actually your friends and family, because your conditioning, the way that you've been, your not self, has taught them how to treat you. But it's normalized something that most of the time is not natural for you, right? And so what you have to do is you have to re-normalize what's actually natural for you, and you have to sort of you know, again, um overcome this inertia and this resistance. You have to overcome this inertia, this physics, right? You have to overcome this energy of your mom being like, well, hey, honey, why aren't you going out with your friends? Or your friends being like, yo, why aren't you coming out with us anymore? And you having to be like, man, you guys didn't invite me, but I don't want to sound like a needy little person that needs an invitation. And you know what I mean? So it's like you have to move through this inertia. And again, it's part of it. A big part of it is moving through the like all the mental gymnastics and seeing all the mental gymnastics that you put yourself through, and just accepting it. Because again, it's like in order to change your mind, you first have to recognize what your mind is doing. Uh, Could you share some info on the digestion signature and sense? I don't understand what they mean. So digestion is how you intake information in food. And depending on your design, you've got like nervous digestion, which is like when you're eating, like stand up and dance while you eat. Or if you're low sound, like don't have a lot of sound going on. If you're direct light, eat in direct light. And it helps to optimize your mental function. Your signature is the energy that's presented to the world when you're following your strategy and authority, aka you're in alignment with yourself. And then your sense is your strongest sense. So it could be smell, it could be outer vision, it could be inner vision. And again, these are the defined points in your body that you ought to be relying on to create a sort of map of your inner world and map of your external world. Yeah, MLM AO had to learn that I needed myself the entire time, not people pleasing healers. Yeah. What is this course? So this is, and it's actually, it's not a course, it's going to be a membership, but there will be coursework inside of it. And I'm holding off on like really announcing it until it's done, but I can't. It's just so exciting. I have to like talk about it a little bit because it's permeated everything I've done with human design. And I'll give you an idea of what it's like in a nutshell. It will be available in the next, like, I would say, hopefully if everything goes well, it'll be available next week, possibly sooner. But here's the ethos of it. Instead of approaching human design from the mental and learning about your body graph and learning about all these new terms, what me and my partner Pasha are doing is we're approaching human design from the physical. We're looking at, instead of, and it's not like work out and train and do that kind of stuff. That's going to come later. It's more so about the ability to like see and feel what's going on inside your body. And again, this has nothing to do with, oh, what is your greatest sense? What is your determination? That will play into it a little bit, but every single human body has a organs. Every human body has organs, right? Again, whether your centers are defined or undefined, they represent actual organs in your physical body. And we're going to show you how to talk to your lungs, how to direct the movement of your heart. And it's going to be like a sensitivity training for the inside of your body. And then through that is going to be the way by which you learn human design. And so, yes, developing sensitivity to auras, other people's auras, by becoming aware of your own organs, because it's your organs, because it seems like it's your eyes and, your the five senses that perceive auras, but it's actually the pineal gland. Right? You guys have heard this. It actually looks like an eyeball looking up. Perfect. I need to stop using my brain so much, right? Yeah. It's like, and it's not that you need to stop using your brain so much. It's that if you start using your body more, then your brain can actually do more. And that's the idea is it's not about, we call it sensory design, but it's not about like making your environment more conducive for you and wearing fluffy jackets and doing things that make you feel good. It's how you say, methodically microdosing uncomfortable things so that you can cultivate tolerance, so that regardless of what's going on, you still feel secured and snug and supported by your own organs and your own body. Like the idea that you have to, decalcify your pineal gland before you can start seeing auras. It's just your pineal gland is already perceiving everything. But because you're so addicted to the senses and the thinking and all that stuff, it's like if you have like, one speaker, that's one real tiny speaker playing your favorite song, and then there's a concert happening, you're not going to hear your song. It's a tiny speaker. So what we do, instead of saying, hey, please turn the concert down, it's let's just make this speaker bigger. And that is through what we call sensory design and sensory deconditioning. So what are daily exercises you do to keep in touch with your entire body? Rebounding is my favorite. Rebounding is just like jumping. You know what I mean? Even just like this. But that, running, and then sword fighting. This is my lightsaber. And I literally swing this thing for a minimum of like 30 minutes a day. Right? This is my training. And the reason this is my training is because I was trained in martial arts since I was a real young kid. And I realized that all the CrossFit and bodybuilding and weightlifting stuff, it like, yeah, you get a cool aesthetic maybe, right? But you're not necessarily functional. And that was something that for me never made sense. Like I never would go into the gym and do deadlifts and do squats and bicep curls. Like I didn't want to get good at that. And the reason I didn't want to get good at that was because it didn't have any like application other than like lifting. And so yeah, I was always on a very different path when it comes to my physical training. And then I found someone who trained like me and also knew human design, and yeah, it was awesome. Summer, aloha. Sorry, I've been totally ignoring you over here on YouTube. I'm a forever student and love the horse in the background. Oh, right, that's Arion. Yeah, the blondie. He's over there now eating. But let's see. Think and Grow Rich, the power of a mastermind. Ooh, I love that chapter so much. Who do you have? Okay, so here's a fun exercise, and this is from a book called Think and Grow Rich. Summer, aloha. Thank you for the reminder that this exists. If you don't have a mastermind with yourself, this is one of the ways that if you're in that like lonely desert that I was talking about, and you're trying to cultivate aloneness, you're trying to cultivate an acceptance of you as you are with your conditioning, etc. One of the things that I would recommend is creating a mastermind. Now, what you do is you just close your eyes and you envision yourself sitting at a round table. And then what you want to do is envision like the environment. Like, is the round table outside? Is it in a forest? Is it in a desert? Is it in a castle? Is it in a spaceship? You know what I mean? Like let your imagination kind of take over. And then just picture 2 seats at that table that appear. And then in one of the seats, a teacher will appear. And then whoever that teacher is, just like acknowledge them, you know. I'm not gonna say names yet. And then in the other seat, one of your students appears. Okay, now take account who the first teacher is that appeared and who the first student is that appeared. Give them a little what's up, just have a quick interaction with them. If they want to say their name or they have anything to say to you right now, let them say it. And then say, cool, thanks, bye-bye, I love you, I'll see you again, and open up your eyes again. So if you did that, should I read the book? I'm definitely into that lonely desert. I actually don't know what book. Oh, no, I know what book you could read. It's actually in the link in my bio. Wait, let me finish that real quick. So if you just did that exercise with me, sorry. If you just did that exercise, The Alchemist is a great book, 100%. But I have like something like The Alchemist, but it reads like Lord of the Rings. You're going to love it so much. So if you did that exercise and you want to share, who was the teacher and who was the student that appeared at your table? And then for anyone that wants to learn more about like being in that lonely desert, check this book out. This is called Awakening the Third Eye by Dr. Samuel Sagan. If you go to the website or my website, reikimarco.com, you just click the link in my bio. There'll be a link to my Amazon shop store where this book, as well as the fiction books that this guy wrote, are on that Amazon shop. Now, this book is about awakening the third eye. So a lot of the techniques that I use to help us come into contact with that extrasensory perception of the third eye, a lot of it comes from this, right? And even down to the point where helping people develop their senses. This represents your focus and this represents peripheral focus. And the truly enlightened being is one that is able to be in focused and peripheral at the same time. Now, anyway, is it audiobook? Because I'm neurodivergent. It's not an audiobook, but I was actually thinking about investing some money and developing the audiobook because it's so good. Is third vision related to seeing entities? Peripheral vision, yeah. So a lot of non-physical things, non-physical entities, aliens, angels, whatever, if you focus on them too much, they'll disappear. Right. And this is you know, when you think about like a skeptic trying to like disprove something, this is where the skeptic brings their hard focus, tries to shine a hard light on it, not realizing like, oh, that kind of light and that kind of attention, like you can't see it. because that's like looking at you know, at the stars through a straw as opposed to a telescope. Like it's a straw, which is different than looking at the stars with just your eyes and being able to, and you do that, this happens with light. Like if you go look at the stars at night and you focus on a star, eventually your eyes will adjust and whatever star you were looking at will fade away. All the stars around it though will become brighter. But all right, Mariah, I've been thinking about making these stories um, into audiobooks. I don't know what the legal ramifications are of that. Maybe I'll just do it, make a bunch of money, and then send all of it to their organization. Um, but it does need to be an audiobook, but it's not. And it's because it's like a movie. This is this is like a handbook, right? This is like a handbook for awakening the third eye. It's got pictures and stuff like that. So if you are a little bit neurospicy, you're gonna enjoy this. Check this out. Hexagrams in this. But in terms of that lonely desert, what was I talking about there? Oh, again, when you're navigating that lonely part of your journey, doing that exercise I just did, where like summoning your mastermind, like for me, Yoda showed up. And then a child version of myself showed up. The first time I did that exercise, it was Master Yoda and a child version of myself. And they didn't really say anything to me. They were just like, hello, hopefully we'll see you again. And since then, I've had Gandalf pull up. I've had the Mandalorian pull up. I've had these characters from fantasy stories pull up. And I asked my teacher, I was like, hey, if all these characters are like fantasy characters from movies and stuff, is that like, am I like not tapping into like my ascended masters? Like, where is like, you know, the ascended masters that everyone talks about? And she was just like, Marco, you know, um, they're going to take on different energies and different forms based off of the way that you resonate and connect with them the most. And so it's not like, oh, summon Jesus or summon Saint Germain or summon the Archangel Michael, right? It's not about the form that they're in. At their level, it's not about the form. They can change form. So summon the presence, again, of a teacher and of a student that is going to be with you, that you can counsel with. Like I remember when I was going through a breakup, and I was like in bed in just like some random city in California, just like on my way to go to a festival or go to where was I heading? I was heading to one of my events up north in Northern California, and I was at like a gas station or something. And I would typically like run every morning just to kind of like do it. But I would have these battles with myself, and then I would just hear Master Yoda's voice do the whole like, you know, do or do not. There is no try. That kind of thing. And that would motivate me. And so it'll be different for you. I was in like crisis mode at that point in my life, or like crisis recovery mode. But this mastermind is something that you can draw upon and you can grow as a utilization of your imagination. Yeah, and it's the forms that work best for you, because you know, you can learn the same lessons from the figure of Jesus Christ as you can from the Mandalorian. You know what I mean? From Din Djarin, from that Star Wars show, The Mandalorian, or Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love Star Wars. Obviously, I have lightsabers and I'm talking about Star Wars. But, you know, the teacher is not always like, the best teacher is not the teacher that has the most followers. It's the one that you connect with and that cares about you. That's it. Because like people will choose the best teacher over the teacher that connects with them. And that's the same as like choosing the hottest guy or the hottest girl versus the girl or the guy that actually connects with you and loves you. And again, it's because we have so much more emphasis and perceived value placed in the external world as opposed to the internal world. Right? Like everyone knows how to use social media. Everyone knows how to use technology. Not everyone, but a lot of people care about how they look from the outside instead of how they feel on the inside. Like most people, right? If there was something going on, like a rash on their face, they would be quicker to address that than like indigestion or heart palpitations or, feeling low energy. It's because people look at them and they're like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? But your body sends you signals all the time. It sends pain into your awareness to be like, hey, something needs to be addressed. But people will ignore that because other people can't see it. And that's a bummer, because even though people can't maybe not be able to see it, they will feel it eventually, and you're already feeling it now. So anyway, heck yeah. Another really interesting thing to do, guys, if you haven't done this already, look at the personality sun in your body graph. Mine is 22. And then go Google Godhead human design. There'll be this big wheel that comes up. You'll see all of the numbers of the I Ching. Find your number, and then you'll get to see what Godhead or what God entity. Godhead is the actual term. What Godhead your personality sun is associated with. And it's not like this is the God you should pray to so much as this is where the source of your mental information is and your mind kind of sprouted from. And this is also the energy that will attempt to use, hey, let's think about this, or look up Godhead in neutrino design. Yes, thank you, Prana. Appreciate that. That's actually way faster. And if you don't have neutrino design, also like get the app, because it's the best human design app on the planet, and it literally just gets better and better and better as time goes on. It's cheap too. It's like if you go through my website, it's $27 or $26. If you go through the App Store, it's like $37. But that's for the whole year, guys. Like I would pay for this app. I would easily pay $37 every single month to use this app. That's how much I use it and how good it actually is. So yeah, so I highly recommend getting Neutrino Design. You can get 25% off via the link in my bio. So just go to reikimarco.com or just click the link in my bio and scroll down. I think it's like the third button till you see, Neutrino Design or Human Design app or whatever. Click it, sign up on that page, and then you'll get directions on how to do it. I'm on Neutrino. It says my son is 19. I don't see in the app where it references the gods. So yeah, there you go. Prana, legendary. So the app is awesome. It not only calculates your body graph and gives you detailed information about your body graph, you can also collect other people's body graphs, right? So like friends, family, like you can see them. The app will let you run composites, which is 2 body graphs on top of each other. So you can see sort of the dynamic between yourself and another person. It does penta analysis, which none of the other apps do, which is groups of 3 to 5. So, right, if you're 2 people, it's a composite. That's a relationship. Once there's a third person, then you start to enter into a hierarchy, right? 3, 4, 5, and that's where the hierarchy stops. Once you get to 6, 7, 8, usually the hierarchy starts to break off. But I digress. No other app out there is running penta analysis, which is effectively looking at the 3, 4, or 5 people's body graphs in a what's called a transpersonal aura, which means that it's an aura that's made of multiple auras, and this is usually applied to either families or businesses, right? Yeah. So anyway, back to the Godheads. Your relationship with your mind is just as important as your relationship with your body. And it's very, very important not to see one as more valuable than the other. And in an effort to balance your life out, most people put more importance into their head and their mind as opposed to their body. And this is where kind of the work that I'm doing and my partner Pasha are doing with this community is to help you guys just bring your body up. Because what a lot of people do is they try and sedate themselves. They bring their mind down so that it matches with their body. No, let's not do that. Let's just raise the vibration of your body. Let's get you to descend more into your body. Yeah. So I bought your HD. I'm waiting to print out. Lol. Love all the info in there. Is that? Oh, okay. I got you. I'll do that right after this this live, Alex. So I didn't know what a penta was. Yeah, penta is it, and it's very different than the typical use of human design to like awaken the potential of an individual. It's not about awakening your potential. It's literally about leveraging your conditioning and leveraging your circuitry so that you can have either a business that's successful or so that you can navigate family dynamics in from a more clear perspective. It's kind of what the penta analysis was, which was actually the work that Ra was doing before he passed, is he was like starting to create what's called BG5, Body Graph 5, which was this analysis of families and businesses through the lens of human design. And it's really crazy, guys, because I've run a lot of pentas in my life. By run, I mean I've looked at a lot of pentas, and every time there's a flaw in the penta that I'm seeing on my app, it shows up in real life. Like I was a part of this group and their penta was missing a coordination element. And literally that was the thing that destroyed the entire organization, was coordination. And people not being able to get on the same page, and people being like, you're demanding this from me, and it's like, no, I just need that to in order to move things forward. Like, what do you so anyway, it was a sort of personal one for me, but that is something that I do. So if you have like a family or a business and you have other people involved with your business and with your family, of course, it's like, you know, mom, dad, brother, sister, or you're the mom or you're the dad and you have children, looking at your guys' penta and being like, oh, like for me, my penta, one of the gaps in my pentas is traditions, right? Which I could put a lot of energy into like trying to have traditions. Like we got a Christmas tree this year, but typically we get a Christmas tree in my family. Typically we get a Christmas tree after Thanksgiving. This time we got it before Thanksgiving. And I experienced personally a lot of like, wait, why are we getting it before Thanksgiving? It's just going to dry up and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like, because I have that information about my penta, I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter when or what the tradition is. That's not something that's supposed to be fixed in my family. That's just the area that I'm going to fall into comparing how my family does things to how other families do things, and usually feel less than because, oh, you know, that family over there, they always get a Christmas tree on right after Thanksgiving, or they like it's the same, like it's reliable. And this is the same thing that happens to anyone with undefined centers. You'll see somebody with defined centers or somebody that lives, you know, a defined life, has a steady career, steady routine, steady whatever, a reliable and consistent thing. And you'll compare yourselves to that and you'll be like, I wish I had the energy to do that. There must be something wrong with me. There's not. It's not. There's nothing wrong with you. Neurologically, yeah, you'll be a little bit too, you know, again, too neural about it. But truly, there's nothing wrong with you. This tea has got me lit. For whoever asked about tea like 20 minutes ago, I'm drinking oolong tea right now. Like every center of mine is open and I fall into this trap so much. Yes, I used to do it a lot too. I used to do it a lot too. And one of the things that really helped me, right? Like if you have every center undefined, which real quick pro tip, guys, open and undefined are different things. In human design, open is when you have no gates active in an undefined center. Undefined is when you have at least one gate active. Open centers are more vulnerable because you don't have any gate activation in them. Undefined centers are still vulnerable, but they will be defined more often by way of other people and by way of the transits, which is another thing that this app does really well. Is you can track the transits with, like, you can add notes in your transits, right? You can add notes, you can lock notes to certain gates in certain planets. So for a reflector, this is amazing because there's actually a lunar return feature that will show you all of the important dates. Anytime the transit moon goes into the same gate that your personality moon is in, it will show you a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, every 28 days. And this is part of the reflector strategy, is to wait 28 days before making big decisions, or use a lunar cycle to feel into decisions so that you don't impulsively, you know, use somebody else's sacral response or make a decision with somebody else's solar plexus. It's in terms of like weight, reflectors have it the best. They have it the worst, legit, because you have to like consider that, oh, I might not be myself right now, especially if I'm with another person or, not as embodied. Like I might not be myself right now. The app is called Neutrino Design, and get it via the link in my bio because you can get 25% off your subscription. You can also get it on the App Store or the Play Store. You'll have to pay full price. Again, there's no difference between paying the full price and the discounted price, other than the fact that you save like $10 a year. It's stupid cheap, guys. Like this app should cost, yeah, from the link in my bio. The app should cost, in my opinion, it should cost like $10 a month. So you're paying $120 for the entire year. It's worth that much. I would pay $30 a month to use this app. It's really incredible. As a resource for like learning about yourself, it's incredible. Can attest way cheaper than it could be. Yeah, it could be a lot. Let's see. How about Mangen? So Mangen, your strategy is to respond with your sacral. So pay attention to the gut stuff, right? The feeling of like, ooh, yep, or like, ew, It was worth it. I've downloaded all the apps and this one is the best. Crone, that's exactly how I felt. And it was funny too, because I actually had an app rip off one of my videos. I guess they hired an ad company to like run their ads for them. And they ripped off one of my videos and they remixed AI'd my face. And I told them to take it down. And then they were like, hey, do you want to have a partnership with us? We see that you have a lot of followers in the human design community. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you guys ripped off my video. But no, your app sucks. And yeah, so I downloaded all the apps and I used them all just to see if Neutrino was actually the best, because I had a suspicion that it was, and it is. Yeah, it was kind of ridiculous. I was like, I was milking it a little bit. I was like, your guys' unauthorized use of my face almost, how you say, almost like ruined my deal with this other app. I was just milking it. I wanted to see if they would compensate me for it, because you're like, legit, people probably saw my video, went to their website, downloaded their app, paid them, and I didn't get nothing. They stole it. They stole my face from me and used it to promote their app, and I didn't get anything, which is fine. I'll take the karma points anyway. I use Astro Matrix for BT. I'm going to browse this one. I downloaded a few HD apps before, but none stuck. Yeah, most of them really suck. Yeah, good for you, Fight Fire with Fire. Yeah, it was fun. It was one of those things where I was like, wow, why is this happening to me? And one of my teachers said, look, if you don't make enemies, you're either a coward or worse. And I was like, all right, let me make an enemy here real quick. No, I'm not out here trying to make enemies, but if your values conflict with my values, yeah, you're an enemy of mine. Pro tip for anybody that wants, like, one of the things that makes Neutrino Design really important, and I'm actually gonna, I wonder if I can pin this. Yeah, I can pin this comment. So I just pinned a comment here, guys. When you get the app, if you use this code right here, James, Alexa, Alex, and Derry, if you plug that into the I Ching, the custom I Ching feature within Neutrino Design, it will give you another set of information that is more true to the actual rave, like the rave I Ching that Rock created. What we have in Neutrino Design, I actually love the verbiage in Neutrino Design because it's very just like matter of fact, plain English. But if you want like the original rave I Ching, and you guys can thank Prana for that one, because Prana put in a bunch of work to make sure that was available for us, for those of us that like the source material. And again, it's not about just the source material, but it is about maintaining contact with that source material, because we call it source material for a reason. So anyway, can you teach me how to astral project? I can't teach you how to do it, but I could tell you some ways. And actually, I can't teach you, but this book can. So this book talks about a lot of things that how you say I talk about, but it goes into much more detail. Like I learned a lot of my techniques from this book. So I highly recommend you guys go, especially if you want to learn to astral project, or how to properly meditate, or how to see auras, or how to, all that spiritual stuff. Just go get this book. This book is incredible. All right, Mariah, I'm sipping on that oolong. That oolong tea. I think I astral project by accident on the reg. Yeah, I mean, so an interesting thing about see, so if you have the app, import the rave each. Oh, okay. So real quick, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your app. You're going to go into the settings. It's the gear on the top right corner. And at the top of that settings, you're going to see like custom info or custom rave I Ching. You just click the custom hexagrams or custom I Ching. Click that, type that word into it, and then it'll update it. So yeah. So you can also get it via the link in my bio, which is an Amazon link, and it is an affiliate thing. So I will get like 4 cents or something abysmally small. Wait, approve comment? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, got you. And the reason I also want to send you to that Amazon shop link, it's not for the affiliate bonus, but there's other books that he wrote that are like fiction. It's about Atlantis and the fall of Atlantis, and it's so good, especially if you're like into The Alchemist or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. It's like all of those things mixed together, right? And there's actually even a Star Wars kind of component. The last book in the series is like takes place super far in the future, and it's epic, and it continues from Atlantis but in the future with spaceships, and it's freaking insane. So anyway, for anyone looking for a good read, there is the nonfiction, this book, which will teach you all of the techniques that I know, right, and then some. And then also there's a fiction that is kind of like The Alchemist, where it's like a self-help book, but it's disguised as like this wonderful story. And yeah, astral projection once turned into a crow flying after watching an ASMR video. Yeah, so astral projection happens a lot more often than we think. Astral projection, in my opinion, is anytime you project yourself into the future or the past. Like I include that into astral projection, because what happens with astral projection, and the typical rule of astral projection, is that you're projecting your consciousness outside of your body, right? Which is how you say is a natural function of the aura to be able to leave the body and come back. Now, a lot of people will leave the body unintentionally, and they call it night terrors or sleep paralysis. So they'll be their consciousness will be leaving their body, and then they become aware of their body while their consciousness is floating above it, and the consciousness has yet to reintegrate into the body, and it's scary. It's scary to them, and they think they're dying, because that's kind of what happens when you die. But there's subtle projections that happen all the time in sense of projecting forward into the future or projecting forward into the past, because you can do it in a healthy way where it's like you plan for the future and you reflect on the past. That's astral projection technically, you know. But then you can also do it in a negative, in a detrimental way, or a distracting way, where you spend all your time planning and you're never here, or you spend all your time reflecting or worrying about the past or wishing you had done something different, but you're not here, right? And the goal is to like be here, astral project from here, right? This is the most powerful place that you can be, is right here, right now. So that happened to be in the 80s, and it freaked me out, started me on an entire new path. Try Kiam. Yes, it's wild, and it's funny because a lot of people's spiritual journey actually start with some kind of like negative experience. You know, they call it the dark night of the soul, or the you know, the pain of awakening. And it's true. It's people that have you know, had these experiences that they can't explain, or pain that they can't just ignore and get beyond. It sets you on a different path. Yes, I was like, oh, cool, I'm flying, and then just woke up, not sure why I was a crow though. Interesting. So, and this is the thing, like a lot of people ask, like, what does this mean, or why does this happen? And for me, I like to discover what is actually happening, right? So, like for instance, I wouldn't ask questions about why I was a crow. I would ask what was going on in my life during that time. What was the motivation possibly to become a crow? When did it happen? Who was in my life? Where was I living? I would look at the thing that our mind is good at, which is the external uh, uh, things going on around me, like because those external things created some kind of pressure that caused an astral projection, or that caused you to experience that whole like crow thing. So again, points of reflection are oftentimes better started with the what, who, where, when, how, and you save the why. Hold on, I gotta verify my non-NPC-ness. Take your time getting to the why. Everyone wants to get to the, oh, this happened because I saw angel numbers because I'm on the right path. Is that why you saw them? What happened? Where were you? How did you feel? Who were you with? When did it happen? A lot of the times people can't even answer those questions because they're not paying attention to that. They're just looking for a reason to make up a story that supports them, but this is where people can get totally delusional and are being very not present, which for me, not presence is that's the door that your not self is going to pull up through. It's like, they have a saying in Islam, it's trust in God but tie up your camel. And then America, that they have it too. It's like, know that you're protected but still lock your doors, right? And so it's about taking responsibility for the present, and like being in support of that, like being actively in support of the affirmations. Some people just do the affirmations, but they're not physically in support of their affirmations, and so it's just words and delusions. And we look at those people like, wow, you are insane, you're just a silly person. Unfortunately, that happens a lot. The app won't restore my purchase. Oh, so okay, so this is actually interesting. um we just launched a new system on this app, and so what I was told by the developer, and maybe you can help me troubleshoot it, is you should be able to just whatever Raven, whatever email you used to make the purchase, just log into your app using that email. Thank you so much, by the way, for being my guinea pig. Both me and the developer are third lines, so we run into this a lot. This is not an unnatural thing, and I promise I'm not going to run away with your money. Okay, you're going to get access to that app. But this is literally, I had someone else reach out to me today and say that, because I think maybe the directions are still. Let me actually send a note. So I downloaded the app and then deleted it and downloaded it again, and I had to recreate the chart. Yeah. So when you log into that app, and if you're in it right now, just like log out, log in with the same email that you used to pay for it on my website. It's like, yes, super hard to be present right now. So this is what's called tolerance, or low tolerance. If it's hard to be present right now, and a lot of neurodivergence and that kind of stuff is, in my opinion, poorly misdiagnosed. It's not how you say neurodivergence. It's low tolerance, right? Again, because a lot of us are focusing on like how we process information mentally in the brain, but we actually process information in the body, and most people don't know how to get information from their brain into their body. So Raven Man, how we doing over there with the app? I want to make sure you get taken care of. Tips for generators to feel more fulfilled with life. I mean, the basic thing is to like start sorry guys, I'm like, oh, okay. So Marlene, yes, exactly. Stop initiating, start responding. Raven Eman. So our developer is saying go into the settings in your account and then log in with the email. Try that. Trying to get this app working for you, my friend. Got you, Raven. What's the email, my friend? Actually, here I can just look it up over here. This is like true. This is true 3-5 reflecting right now, just like solving problems on the go. We'll get you situated, Raven. Thanks for your patience. What's your opinion on numerology and astrology? I don't use astrology all that much. I was quite into astrology when I was younger, and since then it's been how you say, I found human design. So human design, in my opinion, incorporates astrology and numerology in a really beautiful way. Let's see. All right, Raven Iman. Let me see if I can find you. There you are. Okay, my friend. I'm escalating your ticket, my friend. Again, thank you so much for the patience. Now you can see why I'm working so hard on making sure that the community has a smooth sign in, because as a third line, like, this is something that happens, and you can either be really upset and thrown off by it, or you can embrace your way of being and it's just part of life. Yeah, thank you so much for working with me, dude. Thank you for working with me. Like, apologies for the inconvenience, but okay. So Raven, new instructions. If you can look and see what version of the app you have, if it's 8, that might be an old version of the app, which I know you already said you re-downloaded it. But let's see. Your new attention video is funny and wise. Oh, the intention one. Yeah, that was. Do you guys like those kinds of videos where I'm like talking to myself? Okay, so let's see. It's version 8.2. I just downloaded it for the first time a few minutes ago. And I'm supposed to ask if you pressed account and then entered that email and got a confirmation code. Is what I'm supposed to ask you, from my friend. So fun. It's like trouble. So another thing about this this app, Neutrino Design, guys, is that it's just like one developer. It's just one developer. It's not like a whole team of people. It's just like one dude that just loves human design and wanted to create an app that's better than. I just got the app subscription today. Abby, so can you log in? We're trying to run this, figure this bug out. So it logs me in and says my purchase is restored, but the paywall will not disappear. Checking now. Awesome. So my developer is saying that, or our developer is saying that you haven't logged into the app yet, which is this is fun. Will you screenshot your account screen? Again, like I said, we just shifted over. So see, Penta, do I add chart from the library? Yes, you add new charts from the library. There's on the bottom right side is it? Yes, DM it to me. Actually, no, if you could actually just DM it to, or if you could email it to Alex at Bitstream. And if you go into the top left-hand corner, you'll see like the question mark. There should be a place to like give feedback. That'll let you send an email to him. You can't even send DMs. You can't send pictures in DMs in TikTok, which I didn't really know until a couple days ago when I was like trying to send a picture. It doesn't work. Yeah, and if you can't find that, send it to support@reikimarco.com. But you should be able to find his email in the thing. Got it. Thank you, Raven. Appreciate you, my friend. Is the weekly match thing a newer feature, or I've just not noticed it until now? So, okay, this is another reason why it's so fun. Weekly match feature will match you up with other Neutrino Design users based off of your body graph. So you can look for romance, friendship, or anything like that, and it will match you with a person, another user, and every week it'll do that. And so yeah, it's freaking awesome. It is a newer feature. It came out, I forget what, a couple months ago. It's not like new, but it is a newer feature. And that's, again, a part of the subscription is to just connect people. Do you have any tips about reconnecting with the inner child? Play is so important. And by play, I mean like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously my inner child is fully activated online. Match is like 6 months old. Okay. Yes. Prana is the master archiver. Let's see. And Abby, you said you got in. Awesome. I'm happy. I'm happy you got in there. Great. So yeah, I missed it this whole time. I've had the app for a couple months. Yeah, again, the developer will do stuff like that where he's a 3.5. Like he just like he'll figure it out and roll something out and then just be like, hey guys, there's a new update. Like, refresh the app, or go get a refreshed version of the app from the app store. And he'll do that and it'll be like, oh, there's a whole new calendar feature and there's like this view now. And it's like, it's so awesome. Raven, okay. All right, Raven. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's it might be you. I don't know. But Raven, well, I do have your subscription here. So again, like I said, we're definitely not just gonna like run away with your money. We'll get this figured out today. It might be, I actually don't know what it might be. I'm not a very techie person, but yeah, if you have Neutrino Design and you're not using the weekly match feature, definitely go check it out. It's like, it's one of the coolest features that, you know, it's funny because people like pay for Tinder, right? And pay for Hinge and pay for all these different dating apps. And it's like, you can use Neutrino Design like a dating app. Now the pool is smaller, right? Because, and it's not in your local area, but the connections, like I have I was actually live a couple months ago, and yeah, it was like how you say, it was pretty sweet because the girl was like, oh, you know, I met my current partner on this. Okay, so Iman, I figured out what you did wrong. So you entered a different email than you gave to me at on the subscription. So you have to use the email that you gave in the subscription to log into Neutrino. So that one is going to be the raven.iman at, not the Iman Collective one. Try that. That might be it. Hopefully that's it. Yeah, and for anyone that is you know, considering downloading this app, another thing that I think is super cool is like, dude, we're at the precipice of a very important shift in history, right? Basically, in 2027, what's going to happen is the people that are born in 2027 are going to be born with like fully matured emotional centers, meaning their emotions are not going to be as energetically activating for them. It's going to be more awareness based, right? And so it's really interesting because now that we have a piece of technology that is not how you say, controlled by the Jovian archive, one of the excitements in my opinion is that this is going to create, and Neutrino Design has already paved the way for so much incredible like mutation and variation and different ways of using the human design system that you can't get that kind of mutation and variation when you have such an established system. And it's not a bad thing. The tradition and the system is not bad, but it's like life is always like this, where it's like you have to establish a tradition and then you have to adapt the tradition to the next generation. And it's during that mutation where you have the older people and the younger people kind of fighting about what's working. But and it's not that one is right and the other is wrong. It's that there's always going to be this sort of conflict or differentiation in values. And so the fact that we have a piece of technology that is able to grow with us, I think it's just incredible. Need to work. Thanks for all your help. Asmir, much love to you, my friend. It's been awesome seeing you in my lives. See you Friday, hopefully. Tea time. So anyone got a question about human design, or if I can help anyone with any kind of how you say, you know, I'm a generator looking for like what's a career for this. More information and more detail is awesome. Major feature for that change, Neutrino Design works offline. I feel like it's always worked offline. I mean, I live in the jungle and I very rarely have I rarely have what you call it, is a connection down here. And yeah, it works pretty good. But that's awesome to know that it does work offline. I'm gonna test that now. So human design is a new concept to me. And I've been in the spiritual field for a minute. Yeah, I was in the spiritual field for like 3 or 4 years before I learned about human design. So the basics with human design is that oh my god, there's so many basics. But essentially you have a strategy and authority that help you to manifest your signature. When you don't use your strategy and authority, you manifest your not self, which is your indicator that hey, you're not really using your natural circuitry, you're using your conditioning. So yeah, Prana is not the developer, but he's definitely the developer. The developer could not have done it without Prana, which Prana will say otherwise. But no, dude, he was so instrumental in making this app everything that it is. But anyway, Raven, were you able to get in? Did that fix work? We could also change the email to the other one, the collective one, if you want. But if it doesn't matter to you, then yeah, it doesn't matter to you. Is Prana the name his mother gave him? Can you talk more about defined ajna and can you share experience? So I don't have a defined ajna, but every now and then the transits will define my ajna. And so what the defined ajna's like mode of operation is to have like a consistent way of like thinking about something, right? Or a consistent, like I have to look at this logically, or I have to visualize it, you know, I can't visualize it logically because that doesn't work for me. So depending on what channel your ajna has in its definition, that's going to determine what sort of thinking is going to be the most natural and reliable for you. Wait, there was another email y'all see. Yeah, so Iman, I don't know if you caught that earlier, but basically what's going on, man, is the email that you logged in with to Neutrino Design was Iman Collective, and the email that you used to sign up was raven.iman. So go to your app and try and log in with raven.iman, and that should get rid of the paywall for you. And again, thank you so much for your patience, my friend. Bro, how's it going? Sadie, what's up? We just cruising. Having a good time over here. Implementing a new sign-in system with can we switch it to Iman Collective by chance? Yeah. Let me do that. All right, my friend Raven, I just sent a note, so that should be happening pretty soon. What is the anti-theist trajectory? So basically, you start life as a theist, right? Believing in a higher power, believing in God, and by the end of your life, essentially, your trajectory is one where you go from believing in God and the power of God to believing in the power of yourself. Is a short way to put it. Sadie, I know I haven't seen you. You haven't been very active on here this past week. What's new? Well, not a lot. I'm kind of in the same place. I'm like working on this membership and working on everything that I've been working on. It's been pretty. I did get sick over the past weekend, this is really interesting because there was an event that happened here on Maui that I used to be like, I used to lead it basically, or co-lead it, and this time it happened without me. And it wasn't like it happened like sneakily without me. Like I knew it was happening. I didn't want to participate in it. And so I got sick energetically because I had to slow down. I was doing a lot of work and I had to slow it. Like the sickness slowed me down so that I could take account of some emotions that were moving under the surface of my awareness. Trajectory is novice, Alexandra. So I think the opposite of novice is what, like master. So it's like you start life as a master or a teacher, and then you are approaching a lifestyle that's more of a student mentality. Prana, would you verify for that for me, if you don't mind? Is the opposite or the polarity of novice, is it teacher? I would think so. I think actually maybe I might be able to look it up real quick. Yeah, master and novice. See, this is the thing about human design, and not to say that like you can just intuit things, but human design is like it's like a logic. It's kind of a logical system, you know. So it's like, you know, when you look at polarities, right? The opposite of a novice is a master. It's like great, and trajectory is like yeah, like you're heading in that direction. So you start as one thing and you end up, your trajectory is what you end up as, right? And everything is duality. That's it. Everything is polarity, everything is duality. Gotta pee. Da, 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 da. I'm back. I've returned from my peeing journey. I don't know why TikTok is auto sensory. Observed. So you go from being the observer to the one that's being observed. Which is like, okay, so interesting question. If you look at your trajectory, like Renee, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about like, oh, in the beginning of my life, I was how do you say, observing, and then now I'm the one being observed. Or I'm moving towards being the one being observed, uncomfortable being observed. Yeah. So my trajectory, thank you for answering. I was curious because my trajectory is one of being conditioned, right? Raised in the Roman Catholic Church, went to college, I had a lot of conditioning. And now I'm moving towards being the conditioner. And I'm very uncomfortable with that as well. Like getting on lives and posting videos and stuff, that's not like a natural thing for me. And so one of the things about human design is while we are getting to see like what's natural and how we were born and the way that we were like nature decided we were going to work. There's also this reality of maturing. If you think about a snail that like grows, or a crab that grows, eventually you get too big for your shell and then it becomes uncomfortable, and you have to upgrade your shell. So how do you separate ego from yourself? So when you're looking at ego, you're really looking at two things. You're looking at the material world, and then like the people that you either rely on or the people that rely on you. Right? This is what the ego is for. Um, so in terms of separating your ego from yourself, one of the things that you have to consider, right, is like, where are you in control? Where are you first? Where are you delivering the goods? And where are you like trying to be the best in your lives? Those are typically the areas or the avenues by which the ego is going to look to sort of like present in the world. Um, and the way that you separate it primarily is through observation at first, right? How does my ego show up? And also in human design, ego is not like a bad thing like it is in normal new age. Thank you, Prana, for that, because people with defined hearts, like you want to be friends with your ego, and if you have an undefined heart, you want to be friends with your ego as well. But it's more about noticing your ego rather than trying to change it or dismantle it. Because what happens is, like, if you have an undefined heart, what usually will happen is you'll notice the ego and you'll try to change it. You're like, well, I should be more competitive, or I should be more in control. Like I have to prove something, right? That's called not self behavior of the undefined heart. But if you have the defined heart, a lot of times what people do is they're like, oh, I don't want to be too much. I don't like want to try and compete. I don't want to do that, because they think that, oh, I'm supposed to like be humble and not have a big ego. But it's like, no, dude, embody your ego, embody it. But we each have a different way of embodying it. Whereas people with undefined hearts, the embodiment is more about recognizing who's in control, who's first, who's the best, who's delivering. And if you have those channels, like if you have the 45-21, dude, you want to have an area of your life that you're in control of. If you have the 51-25, you want to use that I want to be first to progress things, to make everyone's lives better. You want to use the I want to be the best to make everyone's lives better. Now, here's the thing where ego gets messed up is if you use the ego or to a degree leverage the ego for personal gain, that's usually always a disaster in the end. Because again, the ego is not here to support really the individual. Yes, and the greater role of the ego is to support the tribe. It's to make sure that everyone gets what they need, right? So if you have the 45-21 bell, yep, you have what's called the money line, which is not necessarily about money. It's about resources and the last voice of manifestation, right? It's the king and the hunter. The king is 45, who says, "Hunter, this is your 100 acres of land. Please bring me the best cut from that land, and I will expand your territory and give you everything that you need," right? And the hunter says, "Yes, king, thank you very much. Here's the best cut. I'm going to use the rest to feed my people, and I'm going to build this here." Like the king says, "Hey, hunter, you have control over this area, and you just remember who gave you control of it," right? And so can big ego in a bad way and insecurity exist at the same time? Yeah, most of the times the reason people have big egos is because they are insecure. And then, tricam, to have an undefined heart with no connections, right? That's like you're not here to compete, really. You're not necessarily here to have like a way of, a specific, the same every time, consistent way of contributing to the tribe. You're actually here more to identify who contributes to the tribe. How do they contribute to the tribe? Rather than comparing yourself and saying, "Oh, I don't contribute to the tribe." You can be with the best one in the tribe. You can be with the one that is in control, but you don't want to get stuck thinking that, "Oh, if I'm not in control, I'm not doing anything for the tribe." No, you can bounce around a little bit more, have a little bit more fluidity with it. But yeah, big egos in a bad way. Big egos are funny because, it's like overcompensating for things. Right? If you feel insecure about your looks, maybe, you become one of those pickup artists, right? And you pick up as many partners as you can to validate your insecurities, or your try to be secure by way of external validation. But that doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can have as many people in the world say that they love you and still feel unlovable. And it's a sad thing, but it is very true. So let's see, Raven, are you still here, my friend? Hopefully you're in neutrino right now, bro, and you are just loving it. I don't understand the hanging gates yet. You think of them like bridges. Okay, so your body graph is going to show you where you have like bridges that are built, right? And this is like your solar plexus, right? And then this is your sacral, and let's say you have the 6, right? That bridge is always there. Now, anywhere that you don't have definition, think of it like a drawbridge. It's going to come down and it's going to go back up. Normally, it's up. But when the transit is in that gate, it's going to come down. When somebody around you has that gate, it's going to come down. Now there's a bridge you can cross. Information is going to flow. Truthfully, you just described me, and I've been working on it. Oh my gosh. Kiwi, keep working on it. Keep working on it. How do you learn to let go of ongoing bad habits through human design? So one of the ways that I use human design to help me identify like what my bad habits are is by looking at my undefined centers. And it's actually, if you have one of my reports, which in addition to the app, guys, if you want like a straightforward approach to your body graph, I have reports that I sell for $35. They're called the Reiki report. You only need to buy it once, right? Because once you have it, it'll give you this is what hanging gates are, and this is what channels are. And it'll like teach you basically it'll teach you the human design system, like in a very compressed way. And it'll also do an analysis of your body graph. So for instance, one of your, most of the times bad habits form either as a suppression of your definition, the colored in centers. That looks like if you have a defined sacral, it's like every time you get a ooh, right? You suppress that because you want to like, oh, so-and-so is not going to like this. Or you start thinking about your decision and trying to rationalize it rather than just using your strategy. or it happens by way of your undefined centers adopting what we call adaptive strategies, which is like the heart that we were just talking about. The undefined heart, it's like, I don't know how to determine my worth to the community. I don't know how to determine my achievements. I don't know how to do, especially with open hearts and trachea. Sorry if I keep forgetting, messing up the name. Right? If you have the open heart with no activations, no channels, nothing, it's totally white, right? That's going to be a thing. Is like, what even is self-worth, right? And the adaptive strategy or the not self, Trisha. Okay, so Trisha, great. The pressure to prove yourself is going to be immense, and part of your bad habits will be, oh, I'm succumbing to this external pressure rather than preserving a garden. Think of it like this: like if you're making a garden, right, and you have how you say, certain seeds that will grow there, and then certain seeds that are not going to grow there, or certain seeds that are you don't want that to grow there because it's going to impede the growth of your seed, right? Let's say maybe you have, because you have an undefined heart, you have a handful of different things, but you don't necessarily know what they are, right? This would be like your seeds start to grow into trees, and you find out that's an apple tree, that's an orange tree, that's a pear tree, and this is a grapevine. And you say, oh, but that guy over there has a garden, and has a he has a uh, an ulu tree, or he's got potatoes growing, or he's got something else growing. Let me rip all this stuff out and put something else in there, right? Because but those are the seeds you were given that you grow, right? And even though you don't necessarily have any definition in your heart, right? Like this are the seeds at the time that you have to grow. And so there are always times, especially with undefined centers, where you'll have to rip some things out, but you don't just do it because somebody else is growing something different, right? It's like if your house is a nice house for you, but then you go and find somebody with a nicer house. You don't bulldoze your house and try and build a new house to compete with them, or maybe you do, but that takes a lot of energy. You know what I mean? And it's so important to, in terms of recognizing the bad habits, how often we want to correct the bad habit without fully seeing what the habit is, why it's there. Because a lot of the times our bad habits are results of us trying to be like somebody else. So Kiwi, why are humans so obsessed with outward appearance, validation, and acceptance from other people? Because if you don't get that, you die. And it's not as severe as it used to be. But think about this. Think about life 100 or 200 years ago. Let's say your father was a farmer, right? And you are growing up and you're learning to be a farmer. But you say, I don't want to be a farmer. I want to go be the king, right? And so you leave your tribe, you leave your family, and usually you die. Or you are in your farming, right? And it's like, it's yeah, also pentas compete. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, it really does matter. It really does matter because um outward appearance, validation. Now the thing, what you want to do is you want to be able to recognize what validation, who is it coming from, um you know um how is it coming to you. And what you have to do is you have to be able to discern for yourself whether or not that validation is actually validating. Because for like this, like for instance, you could have a boyfriend or girlfriend that validates you because they're very attractive, and everyone knows that they're very attractive, and that the only person they're going to date is also someone that's very attractive, right? And so you end up being with this person, getting a certain type of validation. But now, maybe while you might feel attractive, you don't feel loved. You don't feel safe and secure, right? And so they're just validating something that is not necessarily relevant to you. Or if you're a generator, maybe you feel pretty and validated um, and attractive, but you don't feel satisfied. That's reason enough, in my opinion, to let go of that relationship. Because if you keep feeding into that validation, it's like trying to fill up a cup and there's holes in it. It's like it's not going to hold. That validation isn't going to actually add any value to your life. In a lot of ways, it's going to distract you from what your life is actually about. So anyway, Kiwi, great questions. I can tell you're very excited and dedicated to this. Don't let anyone kill that excitement, right? There will be a handful of people that you meet, Kiwi, that are able to not kill your excitement, but channel it and focus it. I'm saying this because that's kind of what I'm doing, because a lot of the times the excitement about the spiritual journey gets diluted by how you say, oh, this is what this person says, and that was that person says, and what I'm sharing is like, hey, look, you actually have to spend time, and it takes time, which is so annoying, I know, but it takes time. You have to watch yourself over time, because that's how you track a velocity, right? Like if there's a picture of a car and it's like going that direction, well, you could assume it's going that direction, but what if right after the picture was taken, it makes a left and it goes in a different direction? What I'm saying is, life is a combination of snapshots, moments in time, a state, and processes, right? Healing and all of this stuff, it's a process. It's not a state, it's not a picture, it's an ongoing video. And so you have to learn how to be able to explore these concepts and watch that part of yourself that wants the solution and the answer. Learn to enjoy the exploration, because that you will never get out of the exploration until you die. At least that's what I see. So how can life be entirely enjoyable with the pressure of having to be up to a certain ideal or standard? Well, it can be enjoyable by like learning how to laugh at yourself. Number one, for having an ideal or standard. But it also is like, again, life is not supposed to be all joy and bliss. And in the spiritual community, there's these like, 5 D'ers that like never come down. They're trying to transcend the human experience. It's like, dude, do you know how much work it takes to get a mind and a body to sync up? And just that alone is hard. Like the odds of like if all 7 billion people on the planet just shot off in different directions into space, one of them might land on a planet that is habitable. Those are the same odds of your sperm, the sperm that is you, fertilizing the egg and that becoming the baby. So there's just the fact that like we're here, life is not, again, just all enjoyable. And part of what actually I'm getting ready to show you guys, I'm getting ready to welcome you into this community and show you a whole new world of how to approach human design. That is not mental, it's not learning about your body graph. It's literally about like learning how to swallow right and opening up your senses and learning how to like hug your organs and support your organs from the inside out. It's an inside out approach to life. And so Kiwi, definitely, if you're not following already, be following, because I'm going to be launching this membership in a couple days. And so anyway, what is your take on the point of human existence? Personally, my take is really that like we're and human design talks about this concept of like an unborn God. So it's like we're all kind of like in this fetus contributing to the building of sort of this God. And so for me, the point of life is to be alive and be present for as much of life as possible. And the more present I am, the more life is going to expand my vision and expand my experience. And I'm going to experience higher highs and lower lows. But the idea for me, the point of life is to, while I have this body and this mind linked in this sort of quantum entanglement, my desire and my intention is to be in the harmony or disharmony as often as I can, and not run away into the future or run away into the past or blame somebody else for my experience. So my goal is to experience as much of my life as I possibly can for however long I'm alive. And that includes, the mind has trouble with this, because the mind is like, don't you want like life to be enjoyable? And I'm like, not if it's fake. You know what I mean? So exactly, because you really don't know how many days you have left. Truly. So it's like you could spend 10 years, thank you, Prada. You could spend 10 years in a relationship with somebody, again, getting some form of validation that doesn't actually like validate you. And then you're daydreaming about, oh, one day I'll be with someone that is, that loves me for me. And, I feel pretty, but, one day I'll be with someone who actually makes me feel loved. Right. And I've had these conversations with my self, Kiwi. So it's possible to get on the other side of that. I was in a relationship that it was more so career oriented. Like we were like a power couple in the spiritual world. And I didn't leave the relationship because I was like, oh man, but we're such a good team. And, I had so many different ways to rationalize why I should stay with this person. when really I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel accepted. I always felt like, her needs came before my needs and her desires came before my desires. And that's just like, that's not the kind of relationship I want. I want a relationship where my partner can recognize when I'm putting them before me, and I need to put me first so that I can even be considerate of them. And then and that's the partner that I have now. She's like, Mark, I think you need to like go be alone. And I'll be like, no, if I want to go be alone, I'll go be alone. I have no problem with that. And she's like, I love you, but I think it's time for you to go be alone. And then I go and I'm sitting alone and I'm like, yeah, I really needed to be alone. And I'll text her and I'll be like, thank you. I love you. That's the thing, is the best relationships are the ones where your partner, to a degree, can help you be yourself. And so to the point of life, I also think part of life is about finding people and surrounding yourself with people and interacting and building meaningful connections with people that do that, where they're able to be with you in your highest highs and your lowest lows, right? And that's another thing, is like, you know um everyone is going to, how you say, no one is going to be there when you cross over. Even if people are surrounding your body when you die, when you cross over, it's just you. And the reason I say that is not as some like, oh, everyone dies alone, like, so get over it. It's like everyone dies alone, so prepare. So prepare. So when you're feeling alone and uncomfortable, project forward for a second and be like, oh, what's it going to be like when I die? Do you want to go out kicking and screaming like a baby? Or do you want to welcome death and be like, I'm ready for the next chapter? I lived everything that I could. I've done everything that I wanted to do. I've lived out every desire I've done. I'm empty. That's my desire in life, is to die empty. I don't want to die being like, oh, I should have wrote this book, or I should have toured the world and played music, or I have a lot of dreams. And yeah, so exactly, despite having relationships, because I lacked self-love, I still wasn't content, right? Yeah, Kiwi. So Kiwi, you're on the path, you're in a process. How does someone love themselves without conditions? I don't think you can. I don't. So it's like, I think that whole like unconditional love thing is bullshit. I think a lot of people who talk about unconditional love are living a fraction of their life under the guise of like being very spiritual. Because if I went up to like any like retreat facilitator and I was like, you love me unconditionally, huh? What if I do this? What if I do that? I could get them. It's the spiritual people, spiritual leaders are the easiest. They have the biggest red fuck with me button on their back. And I have a hanging 39, so I definitely like um, poking that button. And yeah, so it's like, I don't think unconditional love is actually a thing that the human mind can comprehend. It has to be experienced in the body. And now some people can love unconditionally, but genuinely, I don't think unconditional love is the goal. I don't think our job is to love the way that God does or the way that universe does. I think our experience here is to like love with conditions, because the fact is like, there's no one person that's going to like meet your every desire and need. Even you yourself are going to fail sometimes, but that's not a reason not to love. And it doesn't mean that that love is any less than the type of love that God gives or that the universe gives. Dying is a fractal extreme to going to sleep exhausted and satisfied. You will welcome it. Yeah. So how do you change? Wait, what is that? Dying is a fractal extreme to going to sleep. Got it. Exhausted and satisfied. You will welcome it. Ah, okay. I know you're saying what I said. That's I like the way you put it though. A fractal extreme. That's awesome. So how do you change core beliefs that are holding you back from manifesting your ideal reality? Start watching them first. So the way that you change things is you have to identify what it is that you want to change. And instead of trying to change it, just build something new that makes it obsolete. So for instance, if you have a core belief that, you're not good enough, instead of trying to change that core belief, just start working on the core belief, I'm good enough, and start filling your experience with things that support that, which means you're going to have to side with yourself more often than you're used to and you're comfortable with and that you're familiar with. So someone might say something to you and it's like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. but that's going to reinforce your old belief. You have to reinforce this new belief, make it strong enough to eat the other belief. And also, it's like that other belief, oh, they're restricting me again, those turkeys. Whatever. We have to wrap up this live pretty soon. Restricting me, these little turkeys. Yeah. So, and core beliefs too is like, you can't stop thinking of elephants by telling yourself to stop thinking of elephants. Yep, that's a great synthesis of it right there. Raven Iman, are you still in the live, my friend? Raven Iman? I just want to make sure we're taking care of you, bro. So, well, yeah, lesson of the day: when you go to sign up for the art or the neutrino design, remember which email you put in and use that to log in. But anyway, Kiwi, I want to keep talking and sharing all this information with you. And one of the best things, pieces of advice I can offer is like, just stay curious. Okay, stay curious. I love the curiosity. Stay curious. Find people that are encouraging and that speak your language. And if you're asking me questions, I imagine that what I'm saying is kind of landing with you. And then just lock in. Like there's nothing more important right now. Truly, there's nothing more important right now than for you to be able to fully see yourself and accept yourself. Again, it's not about changing yourself. It's about accepting how you are right now, with your conditioning, with your need for validation, with all of your bad habits. Like once you start to accept that and start to love that version of yourself, because the reality is that person got you through all of the crap. It was like a survival mechanism, but you survived. And now that you're here, now it's like, okay, it's not, all right, fuck all that, screw that ego, that sucked. It's like, oh, thank you. Thank you to the smoking habit. Thank you to the addiction to relationships. Thank you to the addiction to validation, because that got me to where I am. And now this is a turning point. So you're moving through that threshold of, not running away from your problems anymore, running towards them so that you can run through them. But with that, guys, I actually have to bounce out of here. I got to get ready for another session. Guys, this was so awesome. If you're not following me, invitation, please follow. I would love to have you in here. Also, because, and I'm not sure what's happening with the TikTok ban, but you'll see some of my videos have a blue form at like where the shop icon usually is. If you want to stay in touch with me and TikTok goes down, we still have some time, but fill that form out, or just fill out a chart, like make a chart on my website. I'll have your email there. Let's see what else. I go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. I have reports on my website. I do one-on-one sessions. I do a lot of stuff. And so if you want to work with me, the way to maybe after Christmas or into the New Year's, I'm going to be launching a membership that's going to basically give anyone who's serious about using human design access to the most cutting edge approach to human design that I've ever seen. And it might be the most cutting edge approach to anything that I've ever seen. It's one of the coolest things that I've ever come across or studied. And I've been practicing it for a while now. And the results are just like, it's like I have more eyes and more limbs, right? And so anyway, my aura is stretching and growing beyond the confines of what I thought it would be limited to. So that is going to be coming soon. That's going to be a community that's going to be really engaging. And anyway, I'll let you guys know when that's happening. So with that being said, I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time, Friday at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Thank you to everyone that participated, and wow, we're at almost 20,000 likes, you guys. That is huge. I didn't at one. I think maybe I said it once or twice to like the live, but thank you guys for 19,000 likes and what was it, 17 shares, guys. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Aloha. Boop. Boop. Finals are officially done. Now I can dissect into my human design report. Mandy, have fun with that. Thank you guys, YouTube. I just signed off TikTok and I'm going to sign off here. I got to get ready for another session in like 4 minutes. I kind of went a little bit overboard, but I love you guys and I'll see you next time, Friday at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Peace.